We live our lives dictated by the ticking clock, experiencing reality as an absolute, linear arrow moving from the past into the future. But there is a possibility that clocks don't actually measure reality. They might simply be tracking their own mechanical movements, creating a rhythm we mistake for the flow of time itself. To challenge this sense of progress, we have to look at Zeno's paradox. Imagine trying to travel from the first second to the second. Mathematically, you can never reach that second point. To get from 1 to 2, you must first pass through 1.5, but to get there, you need 1.25, then 1.1, 1.11, 1.111, and so on. Because you can divide that space into infinite fractions, the journey requires you to complete an infinite number of steps. If the transition from 1 to 2 is logically impossible to complete, then the timeline we build our lives around cannot be an objective reality. It is a cognitive artifact, a mental map we use to navigate a much stranger territory. This mathematical doubt is backed by modern physics. Albert Einstein's theory of relativity dismantled the idea of a universal clock, proving that now is not a fixed point, but a relative experience that changes based on your speed through space. This led to the block universe model. In this view, the past, present, and future don't happen in sequence. They exist simultaneously within a static, four-dimensional structure. Every moment of your life is already there, frozen in place like a single coordinate in a massive cube. We perceive a flow only because of entropy. The universe began in a state of high order and is moving toward a state of disorder. What we mistake for the passage of time is actually our brain observing physical matter changing its configuration. We are watching the transition from order to chaos, and we label that process time. Chronological time is a relational metric. It is a tool we use to measure how physical states shift within a universe that is, at its core, completely static. We see this same illusion in history. We often assume civilization is a straight line of progress, always moving toward a more advanced future. Geopolitical devastation proves how fragile that line is. When war destroys the infrastructure and social cohesion of a city, it physically resets the configuration of that society. In regions like Afghanistan or Gaza, the civilizational clock has been pushed back hundreds or even thousands of years. The physical watches on people's wrists might still tick forward, but the structural reality of their world has regressed to an earlier era. This matches the ancient Hindu concept of the Yuga cycle. Here, time is not a line, but a repeating wheel of epochs. Societies move from a golden age of order down into a dark age of chaos, until a final reset brings the cycle back to the beginning. History suggests that time does not march toward a destination. It is a cyclical configuration of states that inevitably loops back on itself. If the universe is a static block, what generates the intense feeling of movement? Tantric philosophy points to the interplay between Shiva, the stillness of consciousness, and Kali, the kinetic energy of change. Tantra introduces the concept of spandan, the idea that the universe is not a solid object, but a series of rapid pulses. It is flashing into and out of existence in every microscopic instant. Think of a movie projector. Static film frames run so fast they create the illusion of fluid motion. The universe does the same. These rapid pulses of creation and destruction trick our consciousness into experiencing a continuous flow. This masking of reality is called Maya. It is the force that takes a series of static events and projects them as a single flowing experience of time. In this context, the goddess Kali represents the literal kinetic energy of change. She is the power behind the pulses, the engine that drives the chronological illusion we live in. When we combine these disciplines, a startling pattern emerges. If Zeno's math shows that the gap between 1 and 2 is an infinite barrier, then 2, the very idea of a separate second thing, can never actually be reached. If we cannot bridge the gap between ourselves and the other in time or space, then the separation itself must be the illusion. This is the core of Advaita Vedanta, often explained through the metaphor of the rope and the snake. In a dark room, a man sees a coiled rope and mistakes it for a terrifying venomous snake. His fear and his reaction are real, but they are based on a superimposition, a false image cast over a harmless reality. Advaita suggests our perception of a divided, multi-part universe is that snake. When you turn on the light, the snake doesn't die, it simply vanishes because it never existed. The light is the realization of non-duality, the truth that there is no before or after, and no this or that. There is only one undivided, unchanging consciousness. Time has no power because it has no existence. It is the grandest of all illusions, a cosmic theater of change that we experience only because we haven't yet realized that the journey from 1 to 2 never even started.